on this rather disappointing brandy.
Well, what's the matter with it?
I'd say it was a 30-year-old fiend indifferently blended, sir.
We may admire their talent on screen, but behind the glitz and glamour, some stars faced battles far darker than their roles. From habits born of fun to struggles fueled by despair, these actors and actresses turned to the bottle. A choice that led to devastating health problems, shattered relationships, and, for many, a life tragically cut short.
Need 10 for lodgings and a servant, I would suggest. And I...
And you?
I need a drink.
Number 10. Dennis Price. Born into an aristocratic family, Dennis Price had the charm and talent to become a leading man in British cinema. He rose to fame with the 1949 classic Kind Hearts and Coronets, sharing the limelight with legends such as Alec Guinness and James Mason. But behind the scenes, Price was battling personal demons. The breakdown of his marriage and the pressures of hiding his homosexuality led him to attempt to end his life in 1954, an act prevented by a cleaning woman who found him in time. Afterward, Price began a slower self-destruction through alcohol. Despite appearing in British comedies and dramas, colleagues noted his heavy drinking. He reportedly started each day with a crate of Guinness and ended it with scotch, often bringing booze to the set in a shopping bag. His addiction took a toll on his appearance and professionalism. He once wandered on stage during the first act of a play to perform the finale. By the end of his life, the suave matinee idol was a shadow of his former self, succumbing to cirrhosis of the liver. Dennis Price's story is a powerful reminder of how personal struggles can overshadow even the brightest careers. Number 9. Bernard Lee. Bernard Lee enjoyed a 50-year acting career with over 100 film and television credits, best known for his role as M, the head of MI6, in 11 James Bond films. Lee's prolific career, which began on stage as a child, was later overshadowed by personal tragedy and addiction. After losing his wife in a house fire, being mugged and struggling with unpaid debts, Lee fell into depression and heavy drinking. His addiction became so severe that he was reportedly locked in his dressing room during filming breaks to prevent him from accessing alcohol. But Lee found a way. Allegedly, he hired someone to feed a straw through the keyhole so he could drink undetected. Even legendary drinker Richard Burton admitted he couldn't match Lee's capacity, claiming the Bond star once drank him under the table. Sadly, Lee's lifelong alcohol abuse probably contributed to the stomach cancer that took his life at the age of 73. While his legacy as one of the original icons of the James Bond franchise endures, Bernard Lee's story is a poignant reminder of the toll that addiction and personal loss can take on even the most accomplished individuals. Number 8. Barbara Payton. Barbara Payton, a stunning girl from small-town Minnesota, became one of Hollywood's brightest stars in the 1940s and 1950s, sharing the screen with legends such as James Cagney, Gary Cooper, and Gregory Peck. Her personal life, however, was a chaotic spiral. Payton's relationships were filled with affairs, violent encounters, shoplifting, prostitution, and numerous run-ins with the law. In the midst of this turmoil, alcohol became her only source of stability. As the 1960s progressed, her alcoholism escalated, and she was involved in increasingly bizarre incidents. In 1962, Payton was charged with public drunkenness after she was found sleeping in a coat and bathing suit at a Sunset Boulevard bus stop. Later that year, she was arrested for disorderly conduct at a drunken party. Her life continued to spiral as she spent more time in bars, and at the age of 39, she was found dead of heart and liver disease. Her appearance was so ravaged by her lifestyle that she was barely recognizable. Payton's tragic story is a powerful reminder of the destructive toll that addiction can take. even on someone who has the world at her feet. Number 7. Andre the Giant. Known as the eighth wonder of the world, Andre the Giant stood 7.5 feet tall and weighed around 500 pounds, making him a wrestling icon. While his role as Fezzik in The Princess Bride brought him lasting fame, his legendary drinking habits cemented his place on this list. Andre reportedly consumed 7,000 calories of alcohol a day. In one notorious 6-hour session, he downed 119 beers before passing out in a hotel corridor, covered with a tarp by his companions. During another binge, he downed 40 vodka tonic in a single night. His bar tab during the filming of The Princess Bride totaled over $40,000. Although known as a gentle giant, Andre could be formidable under the influence. On one occasion, he overturned a car with men inside after they taunted him. Another time, he and wrestler Dusty Rhodes commandeered horse-drawn carriages through Manhattan. Andre's excessive drinking, combined with acromegaly, contributed to his declining health. Experts link his alcohol abuse to diabetes and heart failure, which led to his death at the age of 46. Although celebrated for his larger-than-life persona, Andre's lifestyle came at a high cost. Number 6. John Barrymore. A celebrated classic actor of the early 1900s, John Barrymore came from the famous Barrymore family and was hailed as one of the greatest performers of his era. Known for his Shakespearean roles, his portrayal of Mr. Hyde and as Sherlock Holmes, Barrymore also became infamous for his real-life battles with alcohol. Barrymore's drinking started early and got worse over time. His second wife once caught him trying to drink her cologne. Despite his talent, alcohol increasingly affected his performances. By 1936, his memory was so impaired that he needed cue cards for his roles. His decline mirrored the drunken characters he often portrayed, such as his memorable performance as an alcoholic actor in the 1933 film Dinner at 8. Barrymore's addiction ultimately destroyed his career. His health deteriorated as he battled cirrhosis, kidney disease, and chronic edema. His hands shook uncontrollably, a sign of the toll alcohol had taken. At the age of 60, Barrymore's body finally gave out, and he died in 1942. Despite his tragic end, Barrymore's legacy as one of the most gifted actors of his time remains a stark reminder of how addiction can overshadow even the brightest stars. Number 5. Peter O'Toole. Nominated for 8 Academy Awards and celebrated for his roles in films such as Lawrence of Arabia, Peter O'Toole was also a renowned stage actor. However, his off-screen life was marred by excessive drinking. O'Toole's wild drinking habits were notorious from the start of his career. During the filming of Lawrence of Arabia, his binges in Beirut became legendary, and he was reportedly drunk throughout the production of Beckett in 1964. His behavior was often chaotic, including a memorable night when he took a date to see a play in Soho, only to realize he was the star. O'Toole and his friends were frequent drinkers, and one of his favorite stories was of going out for a beer in Paris and waking up in Corsica. He also claimed to have been unaware of John F. Kennedy's assassination for 22 years. After suffering abdominal pains and being warned that alcohol would eventually kill him, O'Toole finally stopped drinking, but the damage had already been done. By 2013, his once vibrant appearance had withered and he died in a London hospital, his body ravaged by years of drinking and smoking. Number 4. Richard Burton. Known for his powerful performances, baritone voice, and high-profile relationship with Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton was often seen as the heir to the great Laurence Olivier. His performances in films such as Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf showcased his immense talent, but off-screen Burton battled severe alcoholism. Burton admitted to starting drinking at the age of 12, and at his peak he would drink up to 3 bottles of vodka a day. During the filming of The Klansman, he was often so drunk that he had to take shots lying down. He also once drank 21 shots of tequila before jumping into the sea when he heard of a shark sighting. In 1974, Burton nearly died from a binge, and doctors had warned him years earlier that his drinking would eventually kill him. His kidneys had become abnormally enlarged, and during surgery in the 1980s, doctors found his spine covered in crystallized alcohol. Despite these warnings, Burton continued to drink. His career ended tragically in 1984, when he died of alcoholism at the age of 58. Burton's story is a poignant reminder of how addiction can destroy even the most brilliant careers. Number 3. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn, the quintessential swashbuckler of Hollywood's golden age, captivated audiences as Robin Hood and Captain Blood. Behind the screen, however, his life was notorious for excess and debauchery. Known as a womanizer, brawler, and cocaine user, Flynn's greatest vice was alcohol. Flynn's parties were legendary. His Malibu home, shared with actor David Niven, was nicknamed Cirrhosis by the Sea due to the staggering amounts of alcohol consumed there. He also hosted wild, booze-fueled gatherings on his private yacht. His antics extended to film sets, where he once drunkenly bet $500 that he could seduce co-star Olivia de Havilland. Flynn's hard life took an early toll on his health. In his 30s, he collapsed in a lift and was told that his heart and lungs were badly damaged. Despite the warning, he refused to curb his indulgences. At 50, Flynn died of a heart attack, his body ravaged by cirrhosis, and his once athletic frame bloated from years of excess. Though his charm and talent remain iconic, Flynn's life serves as a cautionary tale about the destructive power of addiction and the high price of unchecked indulgence. Number 2. Oliver Reed. In the late 60s and early 70s, Oliver Reed was one of Britain's biggest box office stars, known for films like The Trap, Oliver, and The Three Musketeers. Off-screen, however, his antics were as notorious as his acting talent. Reed famously declared that he didn't live in the world of sobriety, and he proved it time and again. Reed was said to drink 20 pints of lager with gin or creme de menthe chaser, and once downed 126 pints in 24 hours, ending with a handstand on a bar. His drunken antics were legendary. At a christening, he pretended to play rugby with the baby as the ball. Other exploits included climbing a chimney naked and pretending to be Santa Claus, urinating on the Australian flag, and lying drunk on an airport conveyor belt. Reed's final act of excess occurred during the filming of Gladiator. After drinking 8 bottles of beer, 3 bottles of rum, and several shots of whiskey in a pub, he suffered a fatal heart attack. Reflecting on his life, Reed said his only regret was that he hadn't drunk every pub and slept with every woman on the planet. His legacy remains a mixture of talent and chaos. Number 1. Humphrey Bogart. Widely regarded as one of the greatest male actors in American cinema, Humphrey Bogart starred in legendary films such as Casablanca, The Maltese Falcon, and The African Queen. Despite his on-screen brilliance, Bogart's off-screen life was marked by heavy drinking. A friend once quipped, "Bogart is a damn nice guy until about 11:30. Then he thinks he's Bogart." Alcohol often made him angry, stubborn, or disruptive. His drinking eventually affected his career. He often arrived on set drunk or hungover. On one occasion, he turned up in his pajamas, refused to work, and rode a bicycle around the Warner Brothers lot. During the filming of Sahara, he reportedly refused to leave his dressing room until his wife brought him a thermos filled with ORourke martinis. Bogart's antics extended beyond work. He once drunkenly stole a restaurant safe and dumped it on Beverly Hills Boulevard. Another time, he ended up in court after assaulting women who tried to take a toy panda he'd brought to a club as a drinking companion. Years of drinking and smoking caught up with him when he was diagnosed with cancer in 1956. Even in his final days, he clung to his habits, joking that the one time he stopped drinking was the most miserable afternoon of his life. Fame and fortune couldn't protect them from the demons they faced. What do you think of the hidden struggles of Hollywood's brightest stars? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a deep dive into the untold stories of the silver screen.